2, 1. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
You kind of just mentioned it, but I love what you do. Seriously, I think what you
Thanks.
do is fucking amazing. For everyone who doesn't know, a big part of your social media presence is you just advertise what's going on in the city.
Yeah.
That's like what got you into that?
I was 14 when I first started getting involved in like the Albuquerque music scene. So I was going to both Fly Honey and Toy Barn, also Gold House, and a bunch of the other like smaller house venues that were going on when I was younger. And I just never knew what was going on. I've always been a party girl ever since I was in high school. I've just been like, where's the next cool vibe? Like, I want to go. So I sort of figured out that nobody really was doing that. And if they were, it was on a very small scale in like very small pockets of the scene. I've had a lot of people come to me and be like, I used to do something similar. And I was like, damn, I wish I knew. But yeah, so I don't know. I just noticed that we had a lot of stuff going on and not a lot of good promotion. So I went ahead and just was like, I want to do it. I want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. And it's been really good. I actually got my job working for Launchpad and all the venues because of my Sad Peach World page.
Okay. Do you want to come like a little bit closer or bring the mic
Oh,
closer to
yeah.
you? Feel free to mess with it. It's very
Sure.
dynamic. Yeah.
I know I have to be like right up in it. I forget. But yeah, I got that job because of that. And it's just been a really good thing for me to sort of see the community getting more acquainted.
Yeah, I was gonna say because a lot of the people that you promote, it's funny because like I'll find new either bands or artists or comedians or whoever it is on Instagram, and on every single one of them, it says like followed by, and of course you're there,
Yeah.
and then it's like 5 to 10 other people that I know,
Right.
and I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
Why do you think that wasn't really happening a whole lot?
There's sort of like a dynamic of people don't really want to promote themselves. Because they're like, well, why the fuck should anyone listen to me? It's like a self-confidence kind of thing. And I just noticed your candles. That's hilarious.
Yeah, for those of you, my new listeners on Spotify, we have Joe Rogan and Elon Musk candles here.
But yeah, I think it's just comes down to like self-confidence of artists. Artists definitely have a hard time. I mean, I know for me personally, like for a long time I would put things out and then I would be like, I don't want to say anything about it because there's always a level of like self-consciousness that comes with creating. And so I just wanted to give everyone like fair shot at being seen and a fair shot at being discovered by somebody who might really enjoy their art or music or whatever it is. I find a lot of people who are just like, I don't think there's anything going on in Albuquerque. There's nothing to do. And I'm like, oh, honey, I promise you that is not the case.
Well, it's funny because like, especially post-COVID, like I was never really a person that went out a whole lot. And it was, half of it was, I didn't know what was really going on other than just going to the bars and drink.
Sure.
And then the other half of it was the violence, right? Just crime just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And, but what's nice to see, and obviously I'm a little more biased because of what I'm doing with the podcast and talking to people, like post-COVID, there's so much more stuff going on.
Yeah.
Which I love. Are you finding that to be the case?
I think post-COVID, honestly, people are getting better at promoting themselves. I think before COVID, there was a lot of stuff going on as well. Because, I mean, even before I was 21, I was out doing things all the time. I was going to little markets, little fairs, because I would just seek it out.
I'm proud to announce that the podcast is now officially sponsored by the fine people over at Chop Chili Company. Guys, this is some of the best chili you can get here in the state of New Mexico, and they are online as well as in stores. They can be found at Smith's, Albertsons, Sprouts, John Brooks, and Lowe's Corner Market. They have 3 amazing flavors that you see here, and they also have frozen green chili that you can get online. Go on over to the website, chopchilico.com, and get yourself some amazing chili today.
The pandemic was so gnarly for me because obviously it's my life. I love to just, spend my Saturday at a cute little art market and look around and then go to some party or whatever. So I'm glad that now there is more stuff going on in terms of like everybody knows what's going on now because social media has become more of a tool in that way. I don't know. Yeah. I just think if things were going on pre-pandemic, they were less likely to be widely publicized than they are now, which is interesting because even post-pandemic, there's like a really interesting situation in the world at the moment in terms of, especially for music. People are having a really hard time expressing themselves at concerts. And
okay, explain. What do you mean?
Like I've noticed in the past, I've gone to a couple festivals. I of course go to shows all the time. And people have a really hard time like dancing and cheering and all of that now. I think the pandemic really like made us all, because there's that whole thing.
Socially stunted a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, and also like TikTok makes it really hard because there's all these videos of people like being recorded against their will doing something funny in public.
Interesting, yeah.
So I think right now there's a huge push for people to promote their events and get people out to their events, more so than there was pre-pandemic, because pre-pandemic it was more likely that somebody would be able to would just walk out and be like, oh, I want to go do something, whereas now you kind of have to be like, this is what's happening, come to it.
Yeah, well, and it's important, and that's what I really like. One of the things I really like about what you're doing is because of the culture of Albuquerque, a lot of people are still not even because of COVID, but just in general, the safety situation is really tough for people to go out. You know what I mean? And I think so for you to not only
hate it so much.
I'm sure it makes your life a living hell.
Yeah.
But not only you promoting and putting out the word that, these musicians are playing, there's a festival going on, there's flea markets happening and this and the other. The way you do it is very inviting. How do you what is your, how do I put this? What was the thought process into making your online persona?
Oh, that's a really good question, actually. So I have been on Instagram since I was 12. So I'm very well versed with it. I initially, before I was even doing any of this and I was just living my life, I definitely was curating a image on my Sad Peach Milk account, and now I sort of just use what I've created with Sad Peach Milk, because my Sad Peach Milk page, I reach up to 150,000 people a month on that page, which is crazy, and that's just me being myself.
Right.
So my online persona is very much just who I am, and I've found ways to express that just by being as authentic as I possibly can be through the art that I've created for Sad Peach World is all me, and the language that I use on Sad Peach World is just how I normally would talk. So I try to really stay consistent in terms of, or not consistent, or just do whatever really I want, honestly, is kind of
you're
what
authentic. So to call it a persona is
a little strange.
Right, because it's not really a persona. It's just who you are as a person. You're expressing yourself.
I've definitely created somewhat of a persona just because I am so well known. Because Peach isn't my real name.
Right.
But Peach is the amalgamation of all the best parts of myself creatively that I wanted to put forward, so I just renamed myself.
So it's a throughway.
And went on with it. Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about, that I just was popular as a person on Instagram before I did any of this. And that's why I started doing it, because I was like, a lot of people look at my story. A lot of people interact with my page. So what can I do to increase the visibility for my community around me, and like the things that are important to me, which are music, art, community events, those kinds of things.
Again, authenticity. That's awesome. Do you ever because I'll look at my analytics and I have nowhere near that big of a following, but I'll look at it, I've got like 500 something followers, but then it says reach it hovers anywhere between like 14 to 20K ish. And I look at that and I'm like, how hard is it for you fucks just to press follow?
Yeah. I think part of so that's what I'm saying. My reach is anywhere, like you said, anywhere between like 150 to 200,000 people. And I think with my page in particular, the reason why I don't get as many follows from it is because they find like one aesthetic photo on the explore page from my page kind of thing. You know? And they'll look at it or like it or whatever.
Okay, so even just tapping on it and seeing it, that counts as an engagement.
As an engagement. Well, in the reach, yeah.
Right. So what have you found is like moderately successful in turning that and like converting that into an actual like, okay, not only did this person look at it, they followed it, commented, because I never understood how important, especially like saving, important that is to the almighty algorithm, which is like a deity itself.
Well, so actually saving's a really funny topic. So if you look at my Sad Peach World saved, I have every single month coming up with events that I see, and I'll save them and put them in a little folder. And
so people can see like what you have saved.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's what the guides are.
Oh, okay, right.
Guides come straight from your saved. But just me doing that, saving a flyer from a venue or an artist or something, boosts their post, that post of the flyer in the algorithm, because flyers actually do really, really badly in the algorithm because Instagram doesn't like a whole block of text or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. My personal approach to like getting new followers and engagement and things is genuinely just meeting people in person. I don't really do anything on Instagram necessarily to gain a following. I'll get random followers now and then. Most of the time they're creepy men, to be honest. But
I'm sure you have some interesting interactions with that.
Oh, my DMs are really scary sometimes.
Oh, fuck.
My DMs are really scary
Anything
sometimes.
you care to share? Is that kind of like an offline thing? Which is totally cool if it is, by the way.
That'd be kind of funny. Let me see if I can find something. But yeah, I generally...
Oh, boy.
My approach is...
All your followers watching this just got a little bit, little tensed up. I didn't mean to send that, I swear.
Let's see, my requests are so scary. Hold on.
I just think it's crazy, like, how much of just while you're pulling that up, how much of, I don't know how else to say it other than like a deity, the algorithms have become. Whether it's Instagram, Facebook, like, and I'm brand new to TikTok. I have no idea how the fuck to work that thing. But I hardly do anything on that. Like, I'll just go through, and if I see people that I know, or like how, like I was saying earlier, Instagram has like the followed by, TikTok will have little like circles of profile pictures, whatever.
Right.
So if I see profiles with that, or if I see profiles that says like they have 50 videos, they have 80 videos, okay, I'll go follow those because maybe they'll follow me back.
Yeah.
So I'll just kind of do all that, but I don't do a whole lot of promotion. I don't know how the fuck to work a hashtag. I'm like 5-8 years behind on this.
Hashtags confuse me as well. So
oh, thank God. And but yeah, I'll just out of nowhere, I'll just start getting followers on TikTok. I'm like, what the fuck? What is this algorithm? And how do I work it?
Yeah.
I feel like people can build a whole following for their brand or for their their brand or band or whatever it is based strictly off of that and translate it elsewhere.
You just kind of, well, especially with TikTok, you have to be super, super consistent. TikTok, you need to post like 3 times a day. You can, if you've ever talked to, I don't know if you've talked to Sam from Savings.
So funny, I'm in the process of
getting him on the show.
You are like the 4th or 5th person to specifically say he's got a good following on TikTok.
Oh yeah, no, he's got a big following on TikTok. Okay, so wait, here's one.
You have great music, by the way, dude. Fantastic music.
Yeah, I agree. Savings is on one. They're doing good. Okay, so I posted a video of me drinking a smoothie to my story. And like I was just like laying in my bed and I had my smoothie like here in my armpit with the straw in my mouth. I don't know.
Okay, so like lazy Sunday, just woke up. Right, okay.
This dude says, wow, it's like a dream and there's an angel laying right next to me drinking a smoothie. I'm like, okay.
I'll be honest, not as creepy as I thought it would be.
No, but like...
creative, but not...
But like, so that's just one example. That's like the best example that I found so far. But they send, like, those kinds of dudes will send that stuff like once a day to like twice a day. And I'm like, where are you getting all this content? How do you think of all these things to say?
They flip through a poetry book and go like that. That's the line right there.
But yeah, no, yeah, Savings is doing a really good job, Sam specifically, because he used to have it be like he was the main part of the band. But I actually really admire him for switching it up and being like, no, this is the band and I am just Sam. So that was a really cool like vibe switch that he did.
So when you look at what they're doing on a social media platform like TikTok, is it driven strictly because of consistency? Is it a vision of an idea?
Consistency and just niche. Like he really fits his niche really, really well. And again, I think part of what he's doing similar to me is just authenticity.
Yeah. Because I feel like now because oversaturation is everywhere now with social media, like everyone's in a band. Yep. Everyone has a podcast. Everyone is doing this, that, and the other, which is great. Personally, I love it because the more ability for these people to express themselves in a certain way, right, live your life. I would never be like, no, you have to do a certain amount of things or have a certain amount of money. No. You know, if you have if it's accessible enough to you, that's awesome. But, you know, how important is it for people to, how do I put it? Like, how important is it in, like, because people now with the amount of oversaturation, it's very, like, people can see through bullshit. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, they're clearly just pandering to a narrative. They're pandering to a group of people, a political, whatever. And
there are certain pages from people in town that I really feel that way about. And yeah, it just doesn't, if all you have to say, I mean, like, I don't really publicize my dark sides all that often, but I do. But I'm never going to say that it's all sunshine and rainbows. You know what I mean? Yeah. The pandering thing's very real. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. And I think that's important is like on your world page, there's next to no politics on there. There's next to no special interests. Like it's true. Hey, here's what's going on. Mm-hmm. Here's what's great about it. If it happens to align under some group of people or some political aisle, fair enough, but this is what's happening. Because one day I'll see you advertising the slums. I'll see you put on Side Montero, another great group of guys I've had on. Yeah. I fucking love those guys.
Yeah, me too. They're great.
And then the next post I'll see is like some like sex workshop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, well that's neat. And then, you know. Yeah. So I just think that's interesting that you are really not exposing. You're you're exposing your following to what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's awesome.
Thank you. There are, I'll just go ahead and say it. I don't work with Monsoon at all. I don't promote their events.
What is that?
Monsoon Music House. Edgar Wonder, Jimmy Climbs, and Lomello. Yeah. I don't really work with them all that much at all.
So what's their backstory?
They're a music collective in town. I worked with them briefly. Maybe this will put to bed everyone coming up to me and asking me if I'm working with Monsoon. I worked with them for a little while. My personal idea of what the scene should look like in terms of interaction between entities differs very greatly from what they deem acceptable in their behavior, and so I don't work with them, and that's one of the lines in the sand that I draw with Sad Peach World, because I really do try to just be as unbiased as possible. I really want to create a space where anyone that is creating something can feel like they have someone in their corner to help them get it out there. But if I do come to a point where I disagree with you on your like just behavior towards other people, then you're done.
What is this group of people displayed to you that kind of made you go, you know what, maybe this isn't something I want to associate myself with? It's important to do that. I want to make that clear. Like I appreciate what you do and I love what you do, because as a very small creator myself, any exposure to exposure, you know what I mean? Any press is good press.
Right.
But you know, as someone that attaches their name to things in one way or another, you know, you can end up saying, hey, I don't want to promote this because of, you know, whatever happened, whatever they do, or the way they conduct themselves. So what have they displayed to you?
We're getting into the tea. So
and I had no idea who these guys were, by the way. Just make that very clear. I have no idea who the fuck these people are. So I'm getting education as everybody else.
They were a prevalent, I mean, they still kind of are a prevalent music collective. They're doing their best. I feel like they might be changing, in the way that they purport themselves. And that's great. I haven't seen anything from them, although I don't, like I said, I don't engage with them all that often. So, I guess I would not be privy to their growth. But previously, all three of the main members had said some pretty nasty things, like on stage, to people about the crowd. They've just made some really weird moves that display a lot of bigotry, and that's like my one thing. If you're a bigot, if you hate other people based on things about themselves that they cannot change, I don't like you. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
man, they're really biting the hand that feeds, huh?
Well,
just saying shit on stage to your crowd.
Not even to my crowd, to their own crowd.
Right, yeah, to their own crowd. Right, yeah, to their crowd. Like, you're on stage, you're saying horrible shit to people like may or may not have paid money. There's a lot of free shows out in Albuquerque, but they may or may not have paid to come
money
see
to be
you.
there. Yeah,
that's shitty.
Yeah.
Is there any like instances that come to mind, or is this all like? Were you there for any of this?
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck. Okay. Is there anything like?
I worked with them.
Okay.
I actually was like a part of what they were doing for a little while. I helped them promo, and I also like, what's it called? Hosted. I was like the main one of the main hosts. Me and Willa J were the main hosts for this event that they threw last August, and one of the members, this is probably the best I can explain what it is that they do, but one of the members gets up on stage and puts the mic to his mouth and says, "I'm gonna tell a racist joke."
Jesus Christ.
And the whole room is like, "No." Boo.
They're giving you the out.
And he did it anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then he went ahead and said some really nasty things to my co-host, like on mic, also at that same concert.
Oh, so this
or
is
like same event
in succession.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna be a racist,
and then I'm gonna be a dick to this girl that I work with. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then after that event in particular, me and Willa had worked really hard on like an intro thing, little skit for the first night of the event.
Yeah.
And we'd worked really hard. We'd spent the whole day like coming up with jokes and planning it out and laughing our asses off. We had so much fun doing it.
Please continue. I'm just gonna like check the cameras.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And we went up to them afterwards and we were like, hey, any feedback? Do you think that like should we do this every week? We were just trying to kind of like feel out what they thought of our performance, which as creators is like kind of a big deal, you know? Like I think honestly, as a creator, if you're not seeking out feedback, then
feedback, like actual criticism, like constructive criticism.
Right.
Yeah.
These boys were like, you guys are just searching for compliments. What is this? Are you just fishing for compliments? And we were like,
nice.
Okay, cool. So we're not going to put any effort. And then the rest of the event, like I went to host it and I just felt bummed because I was like, cool, I'm putting this work in for another creative.
For people who have not like matured since middle school.
I guess, yeah. But the other thing is like they were using me and Willa for promo for our like following, and it was a mutual thing that where when you enter into those kinds of contracts, I say contracts, there was no paper, but like when you enter into an agreement with an artist or a creator that you are equally benefiting from each other's following and each other's like reputation, you really should actively be doing that behind the scenes also.
Right.
Not just using people for what they appear as and then being like, good job. What do you want, a fucking cookie? Like, yeah. So, anyway, I've told people about how I feel about Monsoon for sure. But I haven't done it like on a podcast, so you're welcome.
What's my first piece of breaking news? Look at that.
Breaking news. It's not so breaking anymore.
I mean, that's shitty. Like, even if, now granted, obviously you can enter whether it is a strict contract or an agreement, whatever it is, if you decide to work with somebody or associate with someone and turns out you don't like the person, you don't like their image, you don't like the way they conduct themselves. Okay, that's one thing. Keep that shit to yourself. Right. Be professional at that point. Not even friendly, just be professional.
But if they're being damaging to the scene as a whole,
exactly.
And yeah, that's what they ended up doing. I feel like they really put forward this idea of being like, we're going to create community and we're going to really help everyone come together, but they created a hole where they meant to create community because they ended up just kind of making people feel really weird.
They're just being assholes.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. And I don't know the group's name, and it's probably better. Because No Shame Against It, they put on a good show. Whenever the Slums went on last to Launchpad, the grunge band that was on before them.
Oh, Anima?
Yes. Okay. I really liked their set.
They're awesome.
I think they fucking killed it.
Yeah.
But the mood in the room, in my opinion anyway, kind of dropped when the dude drop kicked the fucking amp. Because people were just like, what the fuck is going on? That's strange. People weren't offended. They weren't like weirded out, but they're just like, that was strange. And it got like real quiet. But then when the Slums came on, everything fired back up, right?
Yeah,
so
for
that's
sure.
The reason I bring that up is like, it's so easy. What I've noticed in my very few times going out over the last year or so, it's so easy to turn the energy off in any real venue here in Albuquerque.
Yes. It's really hard to turn the energy on.
And then it takes some real talent to turn it back, especially to recover from that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fucking hilarious, but I looked around and I was like, I don't know if that was the move.
Is it okay if I do this?
Yeah. Cool. Go ahead. But and another good example is later that night, I ended up going to, it was this dingy little fucking bar that was upstairs.
Oh, yeah, El Rey. Upstairs?
Yeah, I think we went upstairs.
Anodyne?
No, it wasn't Anodyne. It was Distillery.
Ah, okay.
I don't know if that's upstairs or not.
That is upstairs. It is upstairs.
Okay,
yes.
Thank God, because I was a little afterwards.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah, I was a little. But anyway, so
I think actually all the Slums.
Yeah.
And I was there too. I remember.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Whoops. Okay, so that shows you where I was mentally. Oh my God. But anyway, so I remember we went up there. So maybe you remember this. I don't think I was up there with them for like 10 minutes. and someone behind the bar was like, if you're not buying shots, get the fuck out. And everyone just kind of like dropped their hands simultaneously, okay, and just looked.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was very funny.
Is that a normal thing? I'd never been there before. Is that like a normal thing at like 1:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How is that good for business?
Everybody's drunk by then. Most of everybody.
I just thought that was fucking hilarious. That's one of the only things I remember from like after 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Is someone yelling at everyone to get the fuck
out.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting that you've interacted with people like that have actively damaged. Do you come back from that? Like in their, like try to put yourself in their shoes, right? Do you come back from that? Because the reason I asked that, not just as a arbitrary question, but in Albuquerque, we were kind of bringing it up a little bit earlier, but like everyone is connected.
Yeah.
It is so weird. And I'm learning it more and more and more. And like, for instance, I had this guy, his name's Gerald, super sweet guy, ex-MMA fighter. Now he's like an actual like painter and shit.
Cool.
Great dude. Fucking love talking to him. One of the first things out of his mouth is he's sitting down and he did what you did. He kind of looks at the banner and he goes, oh, Sons of Harvard. Yeah, I like them. And I'm like, what the fuck? This dude's like in his mid-50s.
Nice.
I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, yeah, they're in my playlist. Like, damn, we have Side Montero. They're cool too. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. Do you have Side Montero?
I think I forgot to have them sign, to be honest. Yeah, I know. I feel bad about it. But it's crazy because, like, everyone in this town is so connected.
Yes.
And I could just give you examples and examples and examples.
Same.
And what I've noticed is like it's again just like energy. It's a challenge. I think even if you're born and bred from New Mexico, it's a challenge to really build a reputation, maintain a reputation, and then get in a lot of people's goodwill.
Yeah,
I feel like it's
You're
easy
talking
enough.
to the queen of that at the moment.
Oh, I'm sure.
I've had my reputation actually be toileted a couple times in my life, and had to in Albuquerque because I've lived here my entire life. I went to high school here.
Me too.
Yeah. So I've had my reputation toileted a couple times, and I had to rebuild from that.
And if you don't mind me asking, was any of it warranted? Like, did you actually make mistakes that might have warranted that?
So the first time, no. I was young. I was in a relationship that, it was a high school relationship. Some really brutal things went down between he and I, and he went out of his way to tell everyone his version of. He was, I guess, more well-liked than I was in high school. I was not very well-liked all throughout school. Like elementary to high school, I was bullied pretty severely by everyone around me. Just because I was loud, I wore whatever I wanted, I didn't really care about like what people thought of me for the most part, and so people just saw that and were like,
well, that's a classic story, right?
I know.
With how indoctrinating, and that's not to sidetrack completely. That's one narrative I'm glad's getting purported, is how indoctrinating our school system is.
Yeah.
I believe in education.
Me too.
I believe in going to school. Guess what? I don't want my fucking surgeon to be uneducated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like literally one of my best friends right now, God bless him, he had his hospital stay get extended almost, I think we're looking at almost a week and a half now. Ooh. Because they botched his fucking gallbladder surgery. His gallbladder removal.
I got my gallbladder removed.
Yeah, his got terrible. Fucked up.
That's fucked up.
So I want my doctors to be fucking educated. I want my lawyers to be well read, right? Even though they don't go through a formal education, I want my police officers to know the law.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know, shit like that. But otherwise, I mean, one of the biggest downfalls of our education system, in my opinion, I only have an associate's degree, which is the equivalent of a fucking...
I don't have a degree.
It's a participation trophy. I stuck around for 2 years. It means nothing.
Yeah.
But like, you know, one of the biggest downfalls of it is it's so indoctrinating. It's fall in line. Everyone's the same.
Yep.
One size fits all.
Right.
And so...
And if you don't fit in, then good fucking luck.
You're ostracized.
Yeah.
Right. So continue.
So, yeah, I mean, he made sure that his side of the story was told more prolifically than mine was, and I was not very well liked, so it was easy. And I spent pretty much the end of my high school year, like my last year in high school, hating life, wanting to die. Everyone screaming things at me, not screaming, but like calling me names in the hallways type thing. So, and that was right about when I was making music and trying to, but I found a real nice community online. I was in the Lil Peep group chat on Twitter, and I actually knew Lil Peep through that group chat. So that was a really good community that I had. But yeah, so at least in terms of my reputation in real life, it was pretty bad for a while. And then another boy, it's always a boy that I date. It's so bad. I make really terrible choices when it comes to men, apparently.
It's character development.
Yeah. This other boy that I dated, he did some pretty gnarly things to another girl in the scene a long, long time ago. And I dated him, and so everyone hated me. That was around the era of Toy Barn. And yeah. Oh, and then another time when I was 21, I also, that time, so with the boy that I dated, yes, I shouldn't have been dating him because he did some bad things, like he sexually assaulted someone. But I liked him, and I was not as involved in that whole group, but I wanted to be, so it was a whole thing. Like it was definitely a fault of my own that I decided to engage with this person. And then yeah, the last time I actually did really screw up. I got too drunk and I hurt my ex-boyfriend, and we broke up. And he made sure that people knew about it. So, like, in those 3 instances, of course, it always comes down to a personal relationship that then gets blown out of proportion because, unfortunately, Albuquerque is really like that. You can't really have anything that's, like, your own. It's always gonna, like, if there's drama, it's gonna blow up.
Yeah, nothing here is secular. It's so strange.
Yeah. But after all of those things, pretty much my approach was, I am going to be really honest about the situation. I am going to continue to be kind to everyone around me and continue to be authentic to myself. And if people don't fucking like me, they can go somewhere else. They can not be around me, period. Yeah. But honestly, I found that despite, like, obviously there's always going to be some hiccups, there are always going to be some people that don't like you, but I found that I've garnered, like, a really cool level of respect with everyone. I feel like I'm somebody that people can talk to, and despite being really well known, I know that, like, sometimes people get, like, kind of nervous to talk to me, and that always is kind of trippy because I'm like, man, I'm just a dork. I'm just, like, a huge dork.
Fucking same.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's really just a matter of being yourself and trying to do better from things that have happened. So, like, being honest about them, making different decisions in the future. And in terms of Monsoon, I'd really like to see them do better, and I'd really like to see them grow. I don't necessarily want them to forever be, like, known as people who messed up. I want to see them do better, and that's why I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I mean, I don't think I'm divine retribution or anything like that, but I think that I did speak out about certain things in particular to try to push them to grow. And they can grow or not.
Well, I hear a lot of accountability, which is important, right? And that's been, I mean, just speaking honestly, that's been a spot that I've found myself in over the last 5 to 6 months, going through a major breakup. Was I got caught in a couple of big lies, and there were things that were, like, completely fixable about a year beforehand.
Right.
There were issues that were fixable. There was communication that could have bbeen had, but because although we live in in our current world that's, like, which I think is interesting more than a lot of people hate it. I think it's more interesting than anything. how gender roles are getting kind of switched up in relationships.
Yeah.
I'm still a big believer that while they're both equal, a man has to do a lot of the leading. And
Fair.
and I didn't do that when I really should have been, and now things turned out the way they turned out.
Right.
And I think a lot of accountability is important.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is super fucking important too. And I'm kind of in that same spot. It's like I'm just gonna be open and honest, because that was always my intention doing this. I think the podcast
Kind of like some Joe Rogan shit.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yep.
But some people, the ones that kind of have not even popularity but longevity, that have a steady stream, a steady longevity. It's more of the person's honest. They're not pandering. It's a lot. I forget who said. I think it was like C.S. Lewis or some shit that said that it's always easier to tell the truth because I don't have to remember as much. Because if you just keep telling lies, you got to remember all these different
lies that you've told. Yeah,
all these
I feel
stories and anecdotes and things you never did and people you've never met and all these, a bunch of fucking horse shit.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day really doesn't matter. And I think that's just, and again, going back to like the way Albuquerque, especially like in our age range, between the ages, I think of like 20 to like 32-ish, there's this generation of people who are just age range of people who all know each other through one way, shape, or form. Like, I'll have the fucking slums come in and then my roommates know them from high school.
Right.
Which is bananas to me. Or like, I'll have random people come through and they'll see names on the board and like, oh yeah, I went to high school with this person.
Cool.
I go to church with this person. I've seen them at a bar, or I've done, whatever. And it's just, it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a really good, it's a good breeding ground for a culture of entertainment, a culture of art. But again, like, because of that, it's super easy to just ostracize yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like you portray, like those guys you're talking about, you portray yourself as one way, but in reality, you're a bunch of fucking cocksuckers. And you know what I mean? And you just treat people like shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think personally, like, in terms of my portrayal of self, I've been dishonest in certain ways, just like with the amount of energy that I show that I have, and the amount of social energy that I show that I have. But that's pretty much the only thing that I've been like dishonest about. I had a really deep struggle with the peach persona for a while, because I was really putting forward this idea that I just like could do anything, go anywhere, do all of it every time, every single night. I was at every single event doing all of it. And I really burned myself out so bad. And I think people started to see that too, because I was not myself at events. I was not myself to other people. I was grumpy. I was being a shit. And so I kind of had to like...
I was being a shit.
Yeah, I had to kind of like rein it in and be honest with myself. That's really what it comes down to, is being honest with yourself about who you really are, what you want to put forward to the world, how you want to present yourself in a way that's going to be honest and also be reasonable to what you can actually do.
Well, there's growth that comes from that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've done that too, where I find a thing that I'm doing or something I really enjoy, and I just throw myself headfirst into it, and I try to do everything, all at once. And yeah, you burn yourself out. And then it sounds like you're just dragging yourself to these events, dragging yourself to these social endeavors. Mm-hmm. And
because I actually have terrible social anxiety.
That's funny you mentioned that, because the people that, make the effort to be the most outgoing tend to fall in that category. Yeah. Do you find like it's a lot of, is that what really drew you to doing a lot of this? Like, I want to push myself out of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I already enjoy music. I already enjoy the entertainment scene that I've grown up in. No Manners, by the way, is fantastic.
Thank you.
You only have 2 songs on Spotify, but I love both of them.
We're actually recording our album in March. Yeah, I'm so excited.
And everyone that I know that have seen you perform, like most recently over at Sister, has nothing but great things to say about you guys.
Thank you.
So you have a very beautiful voice.
Thank you.
So you already love all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so is that the kind of a bit of a draw to it, even if it was like a bit of a morbid curiosity, like how far can I push myself out of my comfort zone until I kind of hit the wall?
I don't know. I think mostly I am a very social person despite being very socially anxious. But I don't think it was about pushing myself necessarily. It was about leaning into that side of myself that like really does genuinely enjoy like being in the spotlight and hanging out with everyone and making connections with people in my community, because that's really where it comes from for me is like, and I hate that it's a double-edged sword in terms of what I do, but I hate that I'm not as able to make deeper connections with people because I'm so busy and because I have so many people to talk to. That's kind of it's kind of become like my social anxiety stems from the fact that I'm not able to do as much as I want to, and so I get like nervous and I'm like, I have to go do 10 things, but I'd love to continue talking to you, but I don't want to be rude because
like
I'm like running away. Yeah.
Right.
So double-edged sword in terms of like I would really love to make more deep connections, but because I know so many people, I'm not as able to make those deep connections with other people in my community and scene. And like I've definitely gotten to know more people recently because I recently broke up with my ex-boyfriend of like 3 years, and I felt somewhat hindered in that relationship because I wasn't really able to like hang out with people as much as I wanted to. My mind was always on like, well, I should be home with him, I should be doing stuff with him, and it stopped me really from hanging out with people actually. Like, so recently it's gotten better and I'm really happy with it in terms of like socially, and I've also gotten better at giving myself breaks and knowing when I've reached my limit.
Yeah. Well, that's, again, self-awareness. That's super fucking important.
Yeah.
You know, doing what you're doing and, again, putting yourself out there, really, like, doing so much. Do you feel like in the future that'll really kind of hinder you? Because, so, like, before I ask that, like, who do you find yourself having a deep connection with? Is it a specific type of person? Is it the environment you meet somebody in? Like, what kind of helps define whether it's a deep connection or the potential to be a deeper connection than just a passing, how's it going?
Willingness to like really get to know me. Because like I said, I was bullied pretty severely. I had a hard time making friends, and nowadays, if somebody's down to understand who I am as a person and really like see all of the different sides of who I am, which is like I can be absolutely bonkers insane one day and just like the most chill, like I don't know, I've got many sides to me, and somebody who's willing to like sit down and actually have a conversation and like get down to a deeper conversation than just like, you know, casual pleasantries or whatever. That's what really defines it for me. And honestly, like there are people in the scene that I only see them every so often at events and things like that, and we don't really hang out outside of those kinds of things, but I still feel like we have a deeper connection than I do with like the kind of people that I just say hello to and like have a quick conversation. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's how I met Nick from the Slums, the drummer.
Right.
Is me and him, we met each other at the gym we go to.
Cool.
And we talk about like going out and getting beers and hanging out, but his schedule's fucked up, my schedule's fucked up. But the consistent times that him and I will see each other is at the gym and obviously at the shows. And yeah, there is a level of, this is more than just like again, just pleasantries and saying
Right.
hi, how's it going,
Exactly.
checking the box and moving on with your life.
Right.
There's that definitely can be there, and that's also why I brought up the environment you meet somebody in, because that kind of just sets you in the tone for like, all right, I'm at this place, I'm in a meeting, seeing these people again, saying hi to these people, and go ahead.
I'll just say more often than not, people meet me at Launchpad. People come up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Peach. You're the queen of Launchpad, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yes, hello." And the difference is like if they sit down with me and like really have a conversation, because 90% of the time when I'm at Launchpad, I'm there by myself. I am working or like doing my thing for them, or
Which is
I run all of the social media for
Okay.
Launchpad. Well, I have like coworkers obviously, but like I do a lot of it also.
okay.
We all sort of
Like a lot of their
contribute.
outreach and marketing and shit like that.
No, I just make sure that everything gets posted, and then I also like on Facebook specifically, I run all of the Facebooks for the most part. Barney and Zach both also work on it, but I do a majority of the work most of the time. And then I run the stories for sometimes Inside Out and not really El Rey, but sometimes Inside Out when it's open, and then Moonlight from time to time, Sunshine from time to time, but Launchpad most of the time.
Okay.
So if you see me there taking video, that's what I'm doing. I'm posting on the
I'm
Launchpad story.
actively working.
Yeah. But yeah, sometimes people come up to me and like if I'm sitting at the bar or whatever, they'll come sit down next to me and like actually have a conversation with me, and I love that because I feel like sometimes I can be sort of like an enigma. I can be like, oh, that's Peach. She does this, 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 and this, and she's very well known, and that's all that people know about me. But the moment that somebody actually like makes the effort to sit down and have a conversation with me and get to know me deeper than that, I'm like, yo, let's fucking go, dude. Yeah.
And so when the best you can describe it, when does the not the veil, but like the threshold from Peach to you, like,
Yeah.
you know, when does that start to break? Because I think, I don't want to say it on camera if you're not comfortable with it, but I think I found your, like, you came up with this suggested on my friends.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you like your real name being
Oh yeah, did it
sent
come
out.
up?
I think so, yeah. So when does that start to cross over into?
Well, so I don't go by my real name doesn't really dictate like who I actually am, I guess, because I go by Peach even at work. Like when I had like real regular jobs before, like I was a fry cook and I was Peach.
That's legit. We're
At Bosie
okay.
Brothers Brewery. It's like behind Launch. You go around and it's behind Launchpad. It's got that big thing that says beer.
Yep.
Yeah, I was the mini skirt fry cook.
Great marketing. Beer.
Yeah, I was the mini skirt fry cook there, and I went by Peach also. But it's just because it's like I'm more comfortable with that name. My real name is Alexandra, but I just can't get anyone to call me my full real name. They always want to shorten it to Alex, and I don't like that. So whatever. Anyway, no, in terms of like there's a threshold. Yeah, so I've got like my public persona for sure. Like I'm just very like kind, open, and that all crosses over into like who I really am. But you know, you start to reach who I really am when we start having conversations about like, you know, the things that inspire us, or you know, things that have made what I love more than anything knowing about someone else is like, what are the things in your childhood maybe, or like in your past that have really made you who you are as a person? And that's actually, this is a great segue. That's actually what I'm going to try to demystify throughout this next event season. I am going to be hosting or like putting on Sad Peach World events now. So no longer just a promotion page, now an actual like event planner and promoter and coordinator. So that's going to be really fun. My first one is I'm actually wearing the Decora Fairy on Instagram. She made this piece for me on our last week or something that I will be wearing for the event. And it's based on the color scheme and vibe of Emily the Strange, which is a comic book that I used to read religiously when I was a kid.
Okay, so you just brought up a comic book I've never heard of. So continue.
It's about a 13-year-old girl who is eternally 13, and she's super weird, and she does all kinds of like science and music, and
I'm looking this up.
she talks to dead people. She's cool. So the first event of my Sad Peach World events will be fully based on Emily the Strange, a particular like color scheme and vibe that they create.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. I've never read it, but it's by Dark Horse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen this.
So there's like a particular color scheme and vibe that they curate in the comic book that I really enjoy and that has always stayed true to me. It's actually the color scheme that No Manners will have here in our next like era of us. And yeah, I am really excited for that. There's going to be pop-up like vendors. All of my favorite vendors in town are going to be there. We're going to have a plant bus outside. There's going to be some artists that I really like. I mean, all of these events that I'm plotting and planning are going to be like specifically what I like from the community, the bands that I feel deserve to be seen and like promoted and all of that specifically. So these events will be more of me expressing my opinion while also kind of getting to explore how I became myself, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I'm also, speaking of the slums, they just keep coming up. I'm going to have them play at an event later in the summer at hopefully this venue that I've been talking to. They have a pool and it'll be Peach's pool party. And we're also going to have oh my God, I'm so excited. We're going to have a Jello bikini wrestling bracket that me and my best friend are putting together. It's going to be more like performance art than anything. But
and there's your male audience.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, no. It's gonna be really fun, and I'm excited because another thing about me is I have a pool in my backyard at my mom's house, and all throughout my visible life I've been like, I wish I could have a pool party at my mom's house, but she just doesn't want me to have people over. I can't have a party there. And now I actually get to throw a pool party this summer, so I'm really excited.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. So I've heard a lot of theories about it, but how have you even started like the planning process? Like, how do I get people here? What's the promotion look like? All that stuff. I just think that's very interesting. Like the ability to, especially in this town, like the ability to get a lot of people in one place, especially for something that's a little more niche, a little more like this is what I have constructed. It's not mainstream.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just think that's super fucking interesting.
I think honestly, like in terms of this first one, a lot of people will be interested to see what I do. And I have a lot of cool little like features that are going to be going on. I'm also going to try to be giving away some things. I'm going to give away tickets to the event. So it really comes down to your promotion. If your promotion is on point and you like also personally invite people to your event, like send them a message or send them a letter, send them whatever the fuck you need to do to just be like, hey, this is going on. And I feel like because I do what I do, I get more of an insight to what works. And so I'm really excited to try to use those actual things that I've learned to make my events successful. So I'm really excited. It'll be a crazy growing situation for me. I did coordinate and throw the music for an event last summer. It was for Yoga Vibrations. It was their yoga and cannabis event, and
Beautiful.
I learned a lot of things from that. I learned a lot of things about organizing an event from that I did not previously understand, and I'm glad that I did that.
Like what?
What off the top of my head? I don't know, but also, can I take a bathroom break really quickly?
Yes, we can definitely take a break. No problem. And we'll be right back. And we're back. I will always advocate for going to the gym. Unfortunately, I've had to take, at first I took 5 days off about 3 weeks ago because I was doing deadlifts. And
you fucked yourself up.
Oh, yeah. And which is bananas because I wasn't doing a whole lot of weight. My form was good. And normally when you fuck yourself up doing deadlifts, you might pull a hamstring.
Right.
Your back's an obvious one.
Right.
I ended up tearing a muscle in my ribs somehow. Yeah. Like in between like the hanging ribs, like the false ribs.
Ow.
I tore a muscle there. Like I was coming up and about half or like right above the knee. I felt like it felt like you tore a piece of paper. And then I heard like a snap.
Oh, God.
Like, ooh, that's fun. So I finished the movement, put it down, took 2 plates off, Did it again 5 times. I felt fine. I was like, oh, okay, finished the workout. Well, right about like 30, 40 minutes later is when I was like, ooh, that's fun. So so I'm at work and I go to the bathroom and I lift my shirt up and I see a little inflammation. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not discolored, it's not bruised. We can deal with this.
That's good.
I didn't make it to lunchtime.
Oh no.
And I was like, all right, I need to go to the ER.
Yeah.
So I went to the ER and they were like, well, yeah, it's not bruised. They did, or it's not like, it's not bruising. There's no discoloration. They did x-rays. Nothing was broken. So like, okay, you probably pulled a muscle and tore some cartilage. Take 5 days off. If you don't feel any pain, go ahead and do it. Well, 5 days later, my pain went from like a 7 to a 4. And I was like, fuck it. I need to go back to that. I'm kind of going crazy. I need to go back. And I go back to the gym about 3 times and it kicks right back up to like a 9. I was like, fuck, man. So I go back to the ER and they were like, okay, yeah, you definitely fucking tore a muscle.
Yeah.
And the doctor evaluated me and they did a, what's it called? They did, not an ultrasound. They did something. Yeah. And they're like another examination. And they were like, yeah. So if you continue, you're going to fucking tear the muscle right off the rib. And you need to fucking chill out. So
damn.
Yeah. So they're like, we're gonna give you some, because they gave me muscle relaxers and they gave me painkillers. And the painkillers.
Did you take the best shit of your life on those muscle relaxers?
No, because the painkillers sucked.
Oh,
hardly even did anything, and they're like 800 milligrams.
Oh.
Yeah, hardly did anything.
Yikes.
And then the muscle relaxers just made me sick.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
It just made me sick. 'Cause I've taken muscle relaxers before where they actually helped out, and I was like, "Oh, this is a bedtime pill." Okay, but no, they just made me sick, and I was like, "All right, we're done here. I'm just not gonna fuck with this anymore." And so they gave me, well, first of all, this is like at 1 a.m. when I went to the ER because I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So I got there like 9:30 and left around 1.
Damn.
But yeah, but they gave me a shot of something. They gave me a painkiller shot, and that felt fucking great. I felt like
it was probably morphine,
like Tarantino out of fucking Pulp Fiction, just driving home like, I felt fucking great. But then they gave me these Novocaine patches or lidocaine patches. Yeah, lidocaine patches are helping out a little bit, and they're like, yeah, take two weeks off, don't touch anything, don't do any heavy movements because you're gonna fuck yourself up. And I was like, fuck.
Damn.
So I've got until Thursday afternoon.
Damn.
And I've got like a reminder on my phone.
You're like, go to the gym.
Yes, I'm going fucking insane.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's rough. But
yeah. Sorry, I had a
no, you're good. So one thing I meant to bring this up before we started. Because I found this on your page and I read it today. I read it twice actually. And I thought it was very interesting that there's such a like an expose on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, it's hard to summarize a subject like that.
Yes.
But I just love to get your thoughts and opinions on that, like your commentary on that. Like,
so
not only as a whole, but like here in Albuquerque too.
Absolutely. So what this is, it's in my link tree on Sad Peach World, and it is a very long documentation of, I can't remember. It's a girl who does Goodnight Van in Vancouver. Hold on, let me pull up my shit.
Because it all centers around
sexual assault and rape culture in music. Yeah, because it's a big fucking deal. I honestly deal with so much attention with what I do. Anyways, so I was sexually assaulted 3 times in October at Launchpad while I was doing my job. And
we're talking this past October.
Yes.
Okay.
I started working at Launchpad in September, so it was a very brutal wake-up call. I had never felt that way in the music scene before that.
And again, you're in a band. Like, you are well in, not just in marketing, not just in, like, no, you network with these people.
Yep.
You've done, and not to drag them into a subject like this, but you've done shows with the Slums. Like, you are in the Albuquerque
Oh, yeah. I've
scene.
done shows with the Slums. I've done shows with Side Montero. They are so respectful, by the way.
They are the shit.
Like,
love them.
They've never, ever given me a bad vibe. They've always been so sweet.
Yeah.
And, yeah. But so, and honestly, like, this is not about necessarily anybody in the scene. That thing on my page is not about anybody in the scene. It's not about anybody in particular. I really haven't like experienced any. I know that maybe other people have, but I personally have not experienced any like sexual assault or anything like that from any of the guys that I know in bands in the scene now. However, it is something that comes up a lot for women in particular, is just a feeling of feeling unsafe, feeling underrepresented in our gender in the music scene in general, like all across the country, no matter where you go. Women are not, it's not that we're not championed or anything like that. It's just that we're not seen as like, I'm trying to think of a way to describe this. Like, for example, with some of these bands that you just mentioned, like they're all boys, they're doing their thing. They're like, nobody's ever going to look at them and be like, I bet they're the type of people that like have to work really hard for what they want in the way that they like have to work to be seen. Whereas women, I feel like we definitely have to work to be seen as something other than just, oh, that's a girl. That's a girl who's probably doing this for like attention from men. Is like basically what it is.
Sex object, or like right. She only got there because she's pretty. She only got there because she,
and for
not
me,
to be crude, but just does favors and shit like that.
Right, and that's like a persisting, a myth or like stereotype. Yeah, that women have to just like sleep with people to get to where they are.
Well, that was the whole genesis of the Me Too movement. Was Harvey Weinstein and that debacle.
So, the thing on my story, which actually I wish more people. Oh my god, my stomach is going crazy. I wish more people would look at my link tree, honestly, but it's okay.
I did my homework.
Yeah. It's by Goodnight Out Vancouver, and the girl who actually wrote it, her name is Marie. And Goodnight Out Vancouver is actually a bus that goes around to different venues and clubs and stuff and just teaches people about how to be allies and how to address those kinds of situations and how to prevent them from happening. So this entire article is just about how power, privilege, physical size, presence of alcohol and drugs, and environment can make it so that the scene is not safe for women. And just being aware of that as a man is really important, because you could walk up to, and I see this happen all the time, so many dudes will know who I am and want to interact with me and then get nervous because they're like, I hope you don't think I'm being weird. I hope you don't think I'm like trying to hit on you or anything like that. And I'm like, no, man, it's fine. You can interact with me just as long as you're aware of like the kinds of things that do happen. That's great, because as long as you're thinking about it, it's like, I can't remember the metrics, but as long as you're aware of those kinds of things, it's like somewhere around like 60% less likely that you're going to do something shitty. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I really would like to push more people to read this thing. I'm glad that you did. But
well, I will say, it's because even when I was with my ex, because we were together for 3 years as well.
I feel you.
Even when I was with her, and we would go out, and if we'd run into people that we knew or whatever it was, I was always very conscious of that, of like, okay, if it's a dude that I'm talking to, it's the one that I know. If it's a dude that I'm talking to that I've just met or whatever, I'm not really putting my guard up too much.
Right.
But if it's a female, I'm really like,
careful.
At any point that I can keep my mouth shut, I'm going to.
That's very nice of you.
You know what I mean? I'm just going to keep my fucking mouth shut.
Most men do not think that. Well, not most men, but there are a lot of men out there who do not think that way. And I think really what it comes down to is just remembering that with any woman that you're talking to, there is a very high prevalence of masculinity being tied to aggression, and we get nervous. And
Well,
as long as you are just aware of the ways that you might be being aggressive in ways that you don't know, then that's putting you a step ahead just to be around and do the things.
And that's what I was going to say is like, it's kind of a, especially in today's culture, especially like in any situation, it's already a little bit of a loaded situation.
For sure.
And then you add somewhere like Launchpad or Anodyne or anywhere where there's alcohol involved. It could be the most tame brewery near Tanawan.
Yeah.
But there's alcohol involved.
Right.
And if from the male's perspective, it's I don't want to come off as aggressive. I don't want to come off as a douchebag. I don't want to. I think for the average guy, generally speaking, right? I don't want to come off as aggressive. I don't want to come off as a douchebag.
And I feel like most men honestly feel
I don't want to be like
now,
that.
Yeah.
But then it's like at the same time, I do want to show that I can be confident, that I can be charismatic, whatever it is. And then I would imagine from the female perspective, it's okay. He's again generally bigger, stronger, louder, and maybe he's with a group of guys averaging four to six people, and I'm with my one or two girlfriends,
right?
And we're getting a beer after work, or we're doing brunch, or whatever the fuck it is, right?
Yeah.
So in generally, I feel like it's a loaded situation, but then you add booze, and it's somewhere loud like Launchpad. Where like I feel embarrassed when I'm like somewhere like where there's live music playing because I'm like I've got really fucked up hearing in my left ear. So if someone's standing here, I feel like an idiot if I have to go down like that or have to like speak up a little louder.
Of course,
This is how my fucking.
Aren't you glad I'm so tall when I'm out? You don't have to lean down. Yeah, no. Well, and in terms of like the things that I've experienced, also let me just say this, all of my coworkers at Launchpad, everybody who works at the bar are awesome people.
Yeah.
Every single time I've had a problem, I've been able to go up to them and be like, that dude needs to go out. Or any girl who's ever come up to me and been like, hey, this dude is like being fucking creepy. I just am like, okay, yeah, let's bounce.
I will say I've never interacted with anyone in Launchpad, like outside of you, but like just seeing all of them interact, it's very like synergetic. It's symbiotic. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
In the best kind of way, but.
Yeah, there's a very good community there in terms of everybody who works there is, I would say, stand-up people. But
so how do you build that environment? Because out of everything you just listed, right, there's like power dynamic, there's alcohol and drugs involved, there's whatever it is, the environment, right? Because I think in my opinion, that's the biggest struggle Albuquerque has.
Yeah.
I've only really partied like two other places, but like so I can't really speak for the general states. But like here in Albuquerque, the biggest problem we've got is the environment. So what can venues, what can promoters, what can just organizers do to help? Not completely eliminate the problem, but help. Because eliminating the problem is
well, in Albuquerque in particular, it's really hard because like we were talking about earlier, everyone fucking knows each other, and a lot of the problem in terms of environment here is going out and hoping that you're not going to see that particular person that you don't want to see.
You fucking do.
Yeah. But in terms of keeping everybody safe and making sure that those kinds of environments stay healthy for women and like people of everybody really, making sure that they're not being hurt or.
It's not to be that guy, but men get sexually assaulted too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Men get sexually assaulted too.
No, everybody. I think everybody has a chance. It sucks. And also I will say in the times, I was going to say this earlier, but in the times that I was assaulted at Launchpad, it was strangers every single time. It was just some random dude who was drunk and trying to feel up on me. And I actually at Night of the Living cover bands for JD Nash's set as Flight of the Conchords, which happens to be one of my favorite bands.
Sick.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was very cool. The
fact people still know about Flight of the Conchords makes me very. I used to binge their shit on HBO.
Me too.
So that makes me so happy. But the fact that was good, just good.
I was front row every single word. I was just like sing along, having a great time.
That's great.
I had just gotten out of my own show and like raced over there basically to catch it. And this dude next to me, this super drunk dude, like literally full hand just grabs my tit. So I turn to him. This is the other way that I really want to encourage like people like smaller statured or women, they, thems, fucking anybody queer,
Literally every color of the rainbow.
whoever you are and you're being hurt by other people in that way in public, turn to them, punch them, fucking get them away from you. Tell them, get the fuck away from me. Because that honestly is what I have had to learn to do. Because, you know, I'll be followed downtown sometimes by men. Like I'll turn around or like I'll notice a guy in my space too often and I will just go up to them and be like, you need to leave me the fuck alone. And if I see you again, I'm going to make sure that you are taken care of by somebody else who is not me, and it's not going to be nice. And that, more often than not, stops everything from happening. Like, it stops anyone from fucking with me ever. I just pretty much am like, fuck with me again and you will feel pain. Like, and having that, even if you are shitting a brick, even if you're scared, even if this person is bigger than you, having that attitude will very much help in terms of especially in public, especially in like a crowded place, especially if you have people with you. If you're just by yourself, probably don't. But if you have people with you, if you like know that there's someone nearby who can help you if something goes wrong, stand up for yourself and tell them to get the fuck away. Well,
especially in a place like Launchpad, like that's one of the few places I'm actually like comfortable going. Like one of the very few places. It's like, okay, whether it's a Monday or a Tuesday, because I've been there on a Monday night for a buddy of mine who used to have a deathcore band, and there was like 8 people there, but it was a great time, right?
Right.
So whether it's a Monday night in a dead room or it's a Friday night and it's a packed house, right? Everyone's there to have a good time. Like, obviously, we're talking about a 1% of people or a 5% of people that are just dickheads,
right?
But the majority of people are there to have a good time. And so I would never advocate for just starting fucking fights. But when you get assaulted like that, when someone gets violated like that, like genuinely, like especially if it's like hands-on, like, you know, violation.
No, I shoved this dude to the floor and told him to get the fuck off me.
Making that gesture, not even that gesture, doing that action, right? Mm-hmm. Which I know that I actually like about Albuquerque, the
I'll fight you if you fuck with me.
Well, not only that, it's if people see that happening, especially if it's a girl shoving off a guy, it's okay. We're gonna beat the fuck out of the dude, and then we'll ask questions later. Yeah. Then we'll ask questions, as long as like things are separated, people are safe. You know what I mean? So I would definitely advocate for that because again, you're advocating for yourself.
And in terms of like, pardon me, oh my god.
No, you're good.
Something I want everyone to know about me is if you see me at an event. If you see me at a venue and you are being harassed, there's somebody bugging you, come tell me, come find me, and we'll figure it out. We will make sure that person stays away from you. So that's honestly the biggest part of creating an environment that fosters good situations and, you know, stamps out violence like that is having people there that you know that you can trust. So I'll say, like, in terms of downtown at any of the venues that I work at, all of the security guys are really awesome.
Yeah, they're nice dudes. One of them goes to Liberty, funny enough. The dude with the super long white hair.
Oh, Ty.
Yeah, that he braids it, or not braids, but he has like the
he,
you know what I'm talking about.
The little
Yeah. Hair ties. He has hair ties in his fucking long ass hair. Yeah, I see him at Liberty all the fucking time.
He is an awesome person to come to if you are ever feeling unsafe.
Yoked as fuck. Yeah. Cool dude.
Any of the door guys, any of the bartenders, me, Barney will do it all. I know. He is a pinnacle of this community, honestly. I really, really respect Barney. But yeah. I don't know. And also just educating yourself about like the ways that people feel about those kinds of things. That's why I have that particular resource in my bio, because there's a lot of stereotypes, there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of stigmas, there's a lot of all kinds of things surrounding, you know, violence of that kind of type in the music industry. And I think as long as everybody works to be more aware of it when it's happening, and also to see, I mean, you can't ever get through the kind of like power tripped motherfucker who's just gonna hurt somebody because that's what they want to do.
Right.
But
they're very few and far between, but they exist. It's important to acknowledge that, you know, there are evil people. And
we've had a couple performers at Launchpad that I desperately wanted to go and throw tomatoes at them, but I work there, so I can't. They're not local people, one of which was Call Me Charisma. He actually was predatory towards me on Twitter when I was young and towards a bunch of different girls. Yeah, he's
it's a small fucking world, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he is a full-blown pedophile type guy. And
love that. Who is this dude again?
Call Me Charisma. I really heavily considered being like, hey, Barney, can I just like wear a ski mask and throw some shit at him, please?
Yeah, that's... fuck. I mean, I'm not exactly...
I feel like they would have let me if I had asked.
Like, I got receipts on this motherfucker. But no, I'm not exactly breaking ground here. Excuse me. But that's one of the things that I just can't get past with anybody is pedophilia.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm not breaking ground here.
No, but yeah.
But like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're seeing the normalization of it more and more and more. And, you know, for all of the... Because I don't have any dislike towards anyone in the LGBTQ. I don't know all the letters that are getting attached.
LGBTQIA plus. Yeah.
Fuck me. I dropped out of math 5 times. Okay, don't start adding letters with
Sorry,
plus
friend.
signs.
Yeah.
But no, like for all of the colorfulness that's attached to that community, to see all of them come together and be like, you know what? Maps is fucking stupid. We do not acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like, we will have everything under the sun happen, but that is horrible.
Yeah.
Like, the minor attracted people,
Yeah.
or minor attracted persons, I cannot believe it's getting normalized.
I
genuinely can't understand that.
It's really gross. I mean, women even have, like, the pressure on them to act more childlike in terms of, like... I mean,
well, that's a fetish, right? It's the fantasy, which is fucked up to even say, but it's
right.
like it's.
How did we get to this conversation?
I have no idea.
I brought up Call Me Charisma. There we go.
Right, yeah, because he did some shady shit. But yeah, but that's a real thing.
Yeah,
and it's very much propagated in, not even my opinion, but data driven shows that it's propagated by the pornography industry.
Yeah,
that it's women or performers, porn stars, who are between the ages of 20, 25, 26 that maybe have to look a lot younger than they actually are. And they throw them in the teen category and they give off that fantasy to the viewer of, oh, is she legal? Like, how fucked up is that? And but I think all of this kind of feeds back into the environment. It feeds back into the predatory stuff that whole document talks about, which I think is fantastic. Like, that's a really good read. It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good read.
I'm glad that I put that on my story. I'm glad that somebody, or on my Instagram, I'm glad that somebody actually looked at it. But I think personally, that's why when you see me perform with No Manners, I wear the wildest shit ever. I wear like some of the most sexual outfits that I can find.
That's rock and roll, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's because I've been in this scene since I was 14, and I am now trying to establish myself as a woman. And so, unfortunately, that's like part of what I have chosen anyway, personally. Not all girls do this, but like I make it a big thing for myself that when oh my God, I'm getting blown up. I'm so sorry.
That is why my phone is upside down.
Upside down, yeah.
That is, yes.
But yeah, I do that in particular to separate myself from my child self. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
that's perfect, actually.
Yeah, I have been in this industry since I was 14, since I was a kid, and I've known a lot of people since I was a kid. And now I'm like, well, I'm not a kid anymore. I am a fucking woman.
Like, you've broken out of the Hannah Montana,
yes.
And now you're Miley Cyrus chilling with Juicy J and Wiz Khalifa.
Right, yeah,
and,
doing the fucking wrecking ball shit.
And
like,
about,
that is,
about 4 to 5 years, you go back to country music.
And personally, like, I've found it very empowering for myself to do that, to like kind of reclaim my personhood in sexuality and that, and like really set myself apart. Because even like sometimes I wear like childish things and like outfits and stuff in terms of like fashion. This is like an interesting sub topic, but in terms of fashion, I really have found myself going between the two extremes of like, I look like a kindergartner or I look like a fucking like crazy party girl like situation. But that's just because that's what I like to wear. And so I really have to like maintain this dynamic, because when I'm just chilling, like either I'm wearing like a super like low key outfit or I literally am wearing like all pink and purple. And so it's a whole thing. But
Well, I think a lot of what comes to it in the way you dress is how you can conduct yourself too.
it's
You know what I
true,
mean?
Yeah.
Because if we go back to the earlier subject of,
Strange conversation.
yes, it is. That's why I love doing this.
It's become, yeah.
This is why I love doing this. But like a lot of that fetish is the way the performer acts.
Right.
They act like the ignorant, unknowing, how do I put this? Like the unassuming, fresh out of high school, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is super fucking predatory. You know, let's call it what it is. But then, you know, like, I just bring that up as an example because I think a lot of it is how you conduct yourself while you're doing whatever it is you're doing. And I think that's important to be able to, like, especially because you've been in the industry, you've been in for so long. It's like, no, yeah, I am a full grown fucking adult now. Not only going to do as I please, but you know, I'm going to act.
See me that way.
Yeah, I'm going to act as such and conduct myself as such.
Yeah.
And to kind of go back to that document too, what I liked about it really was because so many things today, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, get wrapped up in pandering, get wrapped up in we're going to check the boxes, we're going to use the right verbiage, we're going to read off of the script so we can make sure every
and avoid accountability at every turn.
Yeah, we're gonna pander to every attacked or oppressed group of people of every skin color and orientation and and we're gonna so we can just say we did our thing. But whoever wrote that, there's none of that. It's like, hey, look, this is generally speaking, this is what happens. Generally speaking, this is how you can do or what you can do to help mitigate it. And then also we're going to talk about the outliers. We're going to talk about some actual things that happened that, you know, why are we talking about this in the first place? Which I thought was interesting.
So yeah, let me just go, because it's been a minute since I've actually read this. I read it a while ago, but it says ways to make shows safer. There's like a whole section, but some of them are: get your crew training on consent, consider getting other artists and crew to sign up for like a code conduct, basically, which I would really like to see implemented at more venues. I know that Fly Honey is doing really, really, really good and has always done really good at making sure that people are, well, not always. There have been some some things that have happened in the past, but...
And where is that at?
Fly Honey Warehouse. It's a house venue. It's like one of the longest standing, I think it is the longest standing house venue at the moment, actually. Fly DIY 505 on Instagram. It's ran by Adam, who is a really fucking upstanding human being. He is a crazy person. He's wild. He's so fun, but he is he has that shit on lock. He does not stand for anything that goes on and especially now, because there's younger kids. I started going to Fly Honey when I was 14. So he's always been really good about making sure that everybody feels really safe and taken care of. But so anyway, ask the venue or promoter if they have a policy related to sexual misconduct. Don't let promoters use hypersexual images of women on the show poster or flyer, because that really just draws in the wrong kind of crowd.
Yeah. Well, and then also, to call a spade, there are places in Albuquerque for that.
Yeah.
We have strip clubs.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you're looking for that kind of thing, we have strip clubs.
Not
to say that that's a place for sexual assault, but if you're looking for more sexualized things,
right.
There it is.
I am going to throw a more sexual, I guess, event later in the summer, the pool party with the bikini wrestling situation. I also would
in the Jello, right?
Yeah, I'd also really like to do a wet t-shirt contest with all genders. I would really like to do that. But that event will have heavy security. It will have people looking out all the time. There will be I'm hoping that self-serve will also want to be present and be educating people about consent at that event so that we can kind of marry the idea of sexuality and also like healthy sexuality. Because like sexuality as a whole, there's a lot of things going on, but healthy sexuality is a very clear outlier from all of the weird toxic shit that is publicized nowadays. And I want to really make it clear that like you can have healthy sexuality and crazy weird events and not have stupid shit go on. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's something I actually really stand heavily on. My best friend is going to be a sex therapist, and she's helping me with that event to some regard. And she also just like uses that kind of imagery in her art all the time, and has really opened my eyes to the ability for there to be safe spaces that are also sexual. You know what I mean? So like you can do it. It's possible. You have to work really hard for that, for it to not be like a strip club situation, but also sexual, I guess, in its way. Because, like, inherently, bikini wrestling is sexual. Inherently, a wet t-shirt contest is sexual. But those are the kinds of things that, like, we as humans used to do in a really nasty context. And I want to kind of reclaim them, basically. But in terms of venues, that shit should never, ever, ever be the case. Right. Unless it's the performer's prerogative. Like for me, when I get up there and I wear a fucking bra that's just like 2 vinyl straps across my nipples, like that's my fucking prerogative and I can do that if I want to. But if anybody feels like... If anybody feels like they want to fucking assault me because of that, then they should be thrown the fuck out of the venue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying.
That's going to be like the real.
That's the only thing I'll clip. Yeah, no, you're right. No, yes. So one thing I do want to ask you about, to get your opinion on before we cut off, is, and this has been a conversation for, we're in 23, so probably the better part of a decade. Right? And it's not going anywhere. Toxic masculinity. What is that to you? Because the definition of toxic masculinity, generally speaking, to women is removed from what it is to men, I think. And I think a lot of it, in my opinion, is based on value systems, right? And it's part value systems and part the way you were raised. And so to you, what is toxic masculinity?
What does it look like?
What does it look like? How does it display itself? What are attributes of it, I guess? Like, how would you define it? Let's start there.
Okay, so I'm looking around the club. I see a man talking to a girl, and it's clear that she does not want to talk to him, but he has it all in his head that he's the big shit and he can do whatever he wants, and every woman wants to talk to him, and every woman should want to sleep with him. That's like the teller of what that fucking looks like. If some dude is like trying to lay on anybody who will fucking talk to them, and they think that anybody in the room should want to sleep with them just based on who they are as a person, that's like what that looks like to me. But toxic masculinity can really show up in a lot of ways. Like, I don't know, thinking that because you're a man, you deserve more of a voice. Because you're a man, you deserve more of a presence in the room than the women. Because you're a man, you deserve to be safer than women, which actually has been a thing that I've dealt with at...
So what does that mean? So I haven't heard that yet. So what does that mean?
There was a show that I was at. I can't remember what show. Oh yeah, it was Killboy, Lil Aaron, and...
It's fucking Lil everything is there now.
Yeah, well, Lil Aaron he was actually in the era of Lil Peep, and then I can't remember the headliner, but he was really cool. I can't remember his name. Anyway, it was at that show. Somebody got, or was it at that show? I don't remember. But anyway, somebody got thrown to this girl got thrown to the floor by this dude, punched and thrown to the floor. And everyone in the venue was like, yeah, well, but she started it. And It was all men who did that. And I was really frustrated because I was there dealing with that situation as an employee also and trying to be helpful. And all of my male coworkers, this was like one of the only times where I was like, guys, can we fucking not, please? But they were like, it was her fault. She started it. It does not matter if it was her fault. She should be safe no matter what the fuck is going on. And then this man, just nothing happened to him. So, and that goes to like the larger construct of toxic masculinity, that men, if they do those kinds of things, they don't really get consequences. They don't really, like, there are some men that get consequences, and there are definitely good examples of men who have had consequences from doing these kinds of things, although 9 times out of 10, they're not like harsh enough consequences. Like, for example, that guy a long time ago, I can't remember his name.
Same dude that knocked down this girl in the situation you described? Or?
No. This was like on the news.
Okay.
It was this blonde kid behind a dumpster. He raped this girl behind a dumpster after a college party. I can't remember what the fuck his name is. But he got out of prison.
Oh, he's a football player, right?
Yeah.
He's a football player from...
And he only had to serve 6 months or something like that?
He got 90 days, I think, in jail. And then he was still able to graduate, and he didn't really have anything done.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing, but that's the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Men don't really get... That's a huge part of toxic masculinity, that it's men don't really get punished for their bad actions like that. But also just thinking that you're entitled to a girl's space because you think they want to sleep with you. I could go on and on. There's so many reasons.
So let's take the situation that you were at, right? Where the girl got hit and knocked down. Mm-hmm. And I'm never, throughout this whole conversation or just period, I'm never going to advocate for that.
No,
right?
Of course
That's
not.
insane. Because my take on that is, a man should not lay a hand on a woman like that. That's insane, right? Now, obviously, there are extreme cases where there's domestic abuse, and she's got a knife, she's got a fucking weapon. The minute that any party brings out a weapon,
then it's
dispatch the way you need to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in
I agree.
an event like that, specifically in public, they were probably both drinking, and he decided to hit and knock her to the ground. Again, this is playing devil's advocate, but my view on that is, let's say she tried to slap him around, or she tried to push him, or whatever it was.
I think there was a mosh pit.
Oh, okay. Well, because what I was going to say is, as a man,
and if you enter the mosh pit, anything goes. Unfortunately, if you're being groped, obviously not. Mosh pits should be safe, also, and that's something that I'm really proud of Albuquerque. But it was a mosh pit. If you go in the mosh pit and somebody punches you, you should not be the one to fucking try to floor someone.
I agree with that, and so what I was gonna say before I had the information of a mosh pit,
right?
Because and I say this also because of the way that you portrayed that. I think a few people will hear that and think, well, that means women can get off scot-free. And not true. Not true. But my opinion is that as a man, if you're in a situation where a woman is trying to do something like that to you in general, you should be a fucking man and be stronger and diffuse the situation.
Walk away,
Walk away, diffuse it, whatever it is. And if you're not strong enough to diffuse a situation with an average, not to be a misogynist, but the average woman is weaker than the average man physically.
Yeah.
So if you're not strong enough to diffuse that situation non-violently, maybe you should take care of yourself, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, but maybe, and I've said that before, both on the podcast and in conversation.
Maybe there's things that you need to work on as a person.
And I catch some shit for that, but you shouldn't be getting your ass kicked by a woman. I'm sorry. To the point where you have to fucking sock her in the face and punch her down. Now that we learn that there's a mosh pit involved,
situation,
they're also, because I've been in my own fair share. It's not something I enjoy anymore. But when I was a lot younger, this is something that I enjoyed. My knees can't handle that too much anymore. My knees and my back. But it's generally understood that in a mosh pit, you don't fucking kick people. You don't close fist punch people. Yeah. Does shit happen? Yeah, I've caught in a right hook in the mosh
I've gotten
pit before.
a bad black eye.
Yeah,
from a mosh
I've
pit.
gotten my foot kicked out from under me because shit happens. There's actual death happening on a stage that's like influencing you to be crazy. Like that shit happens. But yeah, for you to turn around and do something like that is abhorrent. And then, you know, in my opinion, just looking at it like that, there's a lack of emotional control that's going on too. You know what I mean?
And I think that's really what toxic masculinity stems from, is this lack of emotional control that's instilled in men, to be honest, to be completely honest, because men are raised in such a way that they are taught to not really acknowledge their emotions most of the time, not all the time, obviously, but
I'd say it's the rule. I'll be honest. I'd say it's the rule.
It's the rule, yeah.
In a house of 4 men, it's the rule. Like 100% of us were raised that way.
Right. So I think that if you are going to be so emotionally dysregulated like that, you need to be aware of the ways that makes you act.
That's a good way to put it. Emotionally dysregulated. That's a good way to put it.
It's an emotional dysregulation, because if you are feeling emotions and you're just like, no, I don't get to feel emotions. That's not okay for me to do. That's emotional dysregulation. That's like,
to a point,
actively putting things in a box when they need to be dealt with.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think that putting yourself into a situation where there's alcohol involved, I'm assuming they were both drinking. I'm just going to assume that.
Right, yeah.
Right, because they're both at a show. Where was this?
I didn't even get to see the man. The man just disappeared. He did not suffer any consequences at all. This woman was just on the ground. It was a stupid ass situation also, because her cousin was with her and her cousin started freaking out. It was a whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I never saw the man. I don't know if he was drinking or not, but I do know that he did not suffer any consequences for throwing a girl to the floor, and that sucks.
Yeah. It's an interesting...
And every other man in the venue was like, "Oh, it was her fault anyway." And that's why I'm
that's where the pinpoint's at. Yeah. And I agree with that. There's no real nuance in that conversation. Now, granted, I'm also going to say, because I can already hear what people say about that, like, there's no nuance in that situation anyway. Right, there's just not, right? But generally speaking, shit like that goes down. Because I'd agree. Like, I think at the core, because I acknowledge toxic masculinity as much as I acknowledge toxic femininity as well. And
that is real as fuck as well. Yeah. I will admit, toxic femininity is a thing. I think that people don't think I'm as, like, neutral as I think that in terms of feminism, I stand on the side of, like, everyone benefits from feminism, and if they don't all benefit from feminism, your feminism is fucked.
Well, I think that, like, feminism has taken whatever the idea of feminism was in its infancy has kind of gotten hijacked by this vocal minority of women that think all men are evil and all men are rapists and oppressors and are just the scum of the earth.
I don't think it's even that.
And it gets, like, purported.
Well, okay. Feminism, I took a whole college course about this. You ready?
So you got indoctrinated too. Okay.
Yeah. Feminism started mostly with black women. And women of color who were like, hey, we should be treated as equals.
And just like every other black art, white people came and took it and appropriated.
And a lot of white women saw this kind of movement happening, and they were like, oh, I want to be treated as a person too. I want to be an equal to men as well. But I also think that we should be treated as special little flowers because we're delicate and more emotionally aware than men. And that's fine in a way. Like, I get it that, like, women definitely are more emotionally in tune, but that does not mean that men should be, like, put on a lower platform than women because they're not as emotionally in tune. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm silent because I'm letting you get all this out.
So anyway, I agree. White women, way back when feminism started, we're like, yeah, that's a really great idea. But also, women of color cannot be involved in this. We don't think women of color should be people too because they're colored. So that's how feminism started. And I hate that because, like, of course, white women were like, oh yeah, somebody did, particularly women of color did the work for us. Sick. Now we're going to take it and make it our own. Fuck you. Yeah. So now feminism has been split into this weird situation where, like, either you believe that feminism is a tool for everyone and that men should also benefit from that, or you believe that women should be placed higher, well, not necessarily placed higher than men, but that women should be equal to men and also treated like, I don't understand this fucking mentality, so I don't really know how to explain it very well, but women should be equal to men and also treated as like fucking gods compared to men. That's the side of feminism that I do not personally fuck with at all. The feminism that I fuck with is that everybody's held accountable. Everybody makes a difference in the ways that they can. Everybody acknowledges everyone on an equal plane, and, you know, fuck bigotry is essentially where I stand in it. And that's what I would like to see more from, like, feminism in that way. But, like, it becomes toxic when it's like, you know, I should never pay for a date. I should never have to fucking lift a finger. And for sure, there are girls, there are like couples and all kinds of things that work out on that level, and that's fine. Like, I'm happy for them. I have a friend who, like, she got her man to get her name like tatted on his neck.
Ooh, that's gonna work out great.
No, they got married. They're happy. They're happy as fuck.
What's the divorce rate?
I don't know. She's a stay-at-home wife, and she does what she does, and their relationship is fantastic. Sometimes it works for people, but frankly, I don't think that should be the rule.
Yeah, I don't care.
And there are a lot of feminists who think that should be the rule, and I don't fucking agree with that.
If I ever get married, I will never have another person's name on my body. Nothing. I don't know about that.
I mean, I have a matching tattoo with my ex-boyfriend. This one on my wrist here.
Okay, but see, where's the name? Is there a name on that?
No.
Boom. That's the right way to do it. Is make it a good piece on its own.
Yeah.
Together it's great, but alone you're just fine.
We had it so
which is a good thing for relationships,
when we were holding
right?
hands, his was like it had the same flowers, but it was a switchblade, and then mine's a little what's it? Spider web.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. And when we were holding hands, it would like match up. But yeah, no, I don't know. It works for them. I'm just saying, like,
but what you've just explained, I think, is a point of view that most women hold, but it's not purported as much because that doesn't get clicks. That does not get that nuanced idea, the idea that, hey, yeah, there's accountability across the board.
Right.
People across the board are equally as good as they are shitty.
I'm like, I can't, first of all, oh God. I can't claim to have learned that on my own.
Yeah.
I learned that mentality from women of color on social media. I, like, religiously, when I was a kid, followed women of color on both YouTube and Instagram that were educating me, which they did not have to do, and I'm so fucking grateful for them, but were educating me on how to actually approach the world as a feminist, as somebody who believes that women should be treated equally to men in the situations that it arises that women are not treated equally to men. So, like, you know, in terms of pay, in terms of respect, in terms of, like, if a woman sleeps with a whole bunch of people, she's a slut. But if men do it, then they're like, oh my God, you're such a crazy, you're so good at what you do, like that kind of shit. And it comes down to the situation that arises. But I learned all of that because I was following women of color. And I have never been more grateful to a community online ever in my life for that, for anything but that, honestly. Like, I love the music community. I love all the things that I do now, but when it comes down to it in terms of like what has made me an upstanding, respectable person, it's all women of color. I gotta say that.
Well, it's a lot of, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, it's a lot of personal accountability. Like these, you can watch, in my opinion, you can watch and read all the things you want, but you have to experience life.
And you have to implement it in your life. Yeah.
You have to, yes, for sure. You have to implement it. But you also have to make mistakes. And again, I think a big theme of this conversation has been accountability.
Yeah.
And that's something you've dealt with in spades, right? And I think that's super fucking important. And like,
it's something I try to do on a daily basis. If I fuck up, 9 times out of 10, you go catch me saying something about it. I'm going to be like, I really fucked up. Hey, by the way, I'm really sorry. I'll seek people out who don't want to talk to me, who I know that they're mad at me because I did something wrong. And I will be like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be in your space for more than 5 seconds here, but I'm really sorry for what I did. And I hope that we can move forward eventually, but take all the time you need. That's like something that I really try to do in my life.
Well, that's a gesture a lot of people need these days.
Accountability is real.
Because people have gotten really comfortable. And I want to go back to the point we were talking about, but people have gotten really comfortable with talking shit and saying a lot of outlandish things behind a keyboard, behind a phone.
Yep.
And it's like, if you said that in person, you would get fucking walloped, dude. Like, that is not something that, first of all, even if you took violence out of the equation, that's not how you speak to somebody.
No.
Like, just at a basis of just we're being normal human beings here, that's not how you speak to somebody, A. But B, like, again, the points you've laid out about how you view feminism and how that interacts with general masculinity, like, that's a point of view I really do believe a lot of women have, but they don't get clicks. And then on the inverse of that, whether it was a character, whether it was how the person really believes, but that's how someone like Andrew Tate gets so famous and gets so propagated because they say all this outlandish shit against women.
I hate that man.
Right? It's how they say a bunch of shit against women. And like, cause I first got shown his stuff when he did a podcast with like the Nelk guys. And my buddy sent me it. He didn't tell me anything about it. He was just like, watch this. I want to know what you think. And I was like, there's no way he means that shit, right? Because it was so like when you go to a carnival or a fair.
Are you talking about like the make women obsessed with you thing?
Oh, well, that's some abhorrent shit that's separate for sure. But like, I was watching
going to a carnival. Okay, go on. Yeah,
you go to a carnival or a fair, and they do like the caricature of you, and they like give you like a little body and this big like abnormally sized head, and they accentuate all your features. Oh, are you saying that's what he
looks like in real time?
No.
Well, shit, don't die.
Well, yeah, yes, but I've seen that screenshot too, where he's like that. But that's how his personality is. Yeah. And so he says a bunch of outlandish shit that he knows is going to get clicks. And that's why he went famous, right? And so what I think is interesting about him is, he says a lot of misogynistic shit about women that it's either hard to agree with or you just can't agree with it. It's like, it's insane, right? Whether he means it, whether it's a joke, whatever it is. But then
I don't think it's a joke. I think he really genuinely means it. With
everything that's coming out now, it's like, oh man, he might have mean this shit. And then on the other end of that, though, I will admit, he says a lot of shit about men that I wholeheartedly agree with. Oh, yeah.
Like what?
So he brings up a point where, so one of his quotes that I've heard him say that I enjoyed was the guy who shows up and either goes to the gym, continues to work hard, continues to do the right thing on a regular basis, will always beat the person who does not. The person who only does things they're supposed to do when they want to, when they feel like it, when they feel happy. That person will always get beat by the person who has discipline. That's one thing I agree with.
Okay, I do agree with that as well.
And before I say a couple...
But I think that's general, not just men.
Right. In general, yes. But one thing that I will say that there's things that I agree with him saying, but a lot of it gets undermined by now what we're learning about what his life may or may not actually be like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like another thing I really like that he said, because he did a 5-hour podcast with this guy named Patrick Bet David, who's this like finance dude, owns a bunch of companies.
I'm aware of him.
He's a super, super well-spoken. I think he's Persian. Really, really well-spoken guy. Okay. And he brings up this idea about, they talk a lot about toxic masculinity, as you could imagine. And because how we brought this up a little bit earlier about how emotional men can be and how that can act. Well, men are brought up to not display emotion, not feel their emotion. That's a negative thing. But then what they talk about, what he specifically brings up, is the inverse, which is if they feel too much of their emotion, if they don't know how to control their emotion and they just let it out in very unhealthy ways, that's how you get rapists. That's how you get child predators. That's how you get school shooters. It's not the stoic man who learns how to, okay, I feel angry. How do I take this anger and put it for something great? Yeah. I just got broken up with. How do I take this heartbreak and turn it into something great, right? 9 times out of 10, dude's going to go to the gym, right? Yeah. But what's the one, right? What's the 1 out of 10? What are they going to do with that? What's the negative things they can do? And those are just some of the points that I agree with. Was like the more emotional men are the ones that are the danger to society. It's not fair. It's not the stoic guy. It's not the well-educated guy. It's not the well-disciplined guy. Well, but then we learn about all the crazy shit that's going on. And so what you brought up, what you alluded to, where it's like what was the legal term for it? The lover boy, the lover boy doctrine, where case law, I guess, where if people don't know what that is, it's a literal, I forget what case it was where they defined it, but it's a human trafficking specifically against women. Tactic that human traffickers do, where they get in contact with a woman. It's like, hey, I'm gonna marry you. I'm gonna da, and they take them on a couple of dates. Yeah. And then in reality, it's you're gonna be a stripper. You're gonna be a prostitute. In his case, you're gonna be a cam girl. Yep. And so there's these 2 guys I watch on YouTube sometimes called Abba and Preach, and they did this video where they like show clips that he used to upload, or he had uploaded, but then of course they're all taken down. Right. But he had uploaded where he was like, yeah. He's like speaking into the camera and he goes, yeah, you get this girl, you get her to fall in love with you, you fly her over, but then when you have dinner with her, you don't say anything. You have your bottom bitch do it, and you have the girl convince the girl to work with you, and you all make money. And then he goes into how like you lie about your taxes and you tell her you're doing this, but in reality you're doing this, and you only get paid in Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin never deals. He literally just rats on himself for like 15 minutes. Yeah, I had the same expression. I had the same fucking expression. And it's absolutely fucking bananas. Ugh. Yeah, it's horrible. It's fucking horrible.
I hate... So, you were asking about toxic masculinity?
Yeah. No, there's so that's the one. Yeah, there it is. Like, that's the most obvious. And that's why I waited to... It's easy to open up with that, but
it's about thinking about what men do to make women... lesser.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to.
I want to leave that for the end. He's like, what do you think about Andrew Tate? Well, here's my clickbait. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Sure. But there is a through line to that. Yeah. Because I think that a synergy with both of these things is that men and women are equal, fundamentally. Yeah. But they are also, they are good at different things. Like they are like
But then there's the whole conversation of like people who don't identify as men or women. Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing I'm not versed in, so I can't even comment on that because totally fair. I don't fucking understand it. I've never, I'll be real, I'm just a dude. Like I've never. I also feel that I am just a girl. I don't have I don't have any friends that don't know what their pronouns are.
I do.
Have gender dysphoria. I don't have any friends like that.
I will say that like.
Well, I have one, but her and I haven't spoken in a while because she's off being a Marine and doing cool shit.
That's sick.
Yeah, she's a fucking drill instructor. She's
she's
the shit.
I mean, in terms of that, like, there's a whole spectrum of people who just, like, feel like they're a human essentially, and that's... Right. Yeah, but are we running out of...
No, we're not. I just felt it vibrate. I was like, come on. Who? Whomst. But no, it's just an interesting time we're living in where it's like, in my opinion... And I don't say this is in a negative way, but a lot of our societal norms kind of just got thrown into a blender, blended up into this weird like social smoothie, and then dumped into a cup. And it's like, take a sip and see what you taste. Just see what happens.
No, yeah, and I think that in terms of like Andrew Tate and the kinds of oh my god, I did get a smudge. Look at this. That's what happens. I'm wearing a YSL. Yves Saint Laurent lipstick, and it smudges like crazy. Anyway,
if you need a napkin after, I can get you one.
Thank you very much. No, it's fine. But yeah, I I just think that the blender of humanity really spits out a lot of really good examples of both really good and bad.
Yeah.
And as long as we as a human race are acknowledging the bad examples and acknowledging the good examples, then we're going to progress better socially.
Yeah.
But Andrew Tate in particular can go fuck himself. He can go fuck himself. And
beautiful.
I will say, I feel the same about these two.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can save that for next time. We can save that for next time for sure, because that is a whole hour-long conversation.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, no,
Yes.
it is a
I
whole
would
hour-long
love to talk to you
conversation.
about that.
I feel a lot of things about Mr. Musk and his whole Twitter fucking thing. Literally, have you seen that you can't block him on Twitter now?
What?
Wait, check this out.
No way.
No, check this out. Oh, we're going
So
through
mind you, I have a Twitter, but it went dormant for so long that my account got disabled. So I still have it, but I can't do anything with it. So I don't really fuck with
Oh,
Twitter.
it was a lie. I can block him.
Oh, okay, there we go. Elon Musk is now blocked. Okay.
But yeah, no, he literally fired one of the main people who works with him because he was not getting enough views on his tweets. So he was like, why am I not getting enough views on my tweets? Literally, this is some fucking influencer bullshit. I'm like, why am I not getting enough views on my fucking TikToks, on my reels? And he was just like crying in the office about how he wasn't getting enough views on his tweets. And one of the fucking guys who worked at Twitter was like, it's just because you're not as popular right now. And he fired him.
Talk about the Emperor's New Clothes, huh?
What a dumb motherfucker. That's some toxic masculinity shit. I'm not popular. Fuck you. That's some toxic human shit, period. Like,
See, that's why I'm not married to any of my ideas. I like Elon Musk, but that's fucking hilarious.
no,
that is so stupid.
He's a big fat baby. He's a big fat baby.
Oh my God.
He cries all day on Twitter. And I'm just like, dude, do something else with your life. Go hit up Grimes. How's your child doing? What the fuck?
Yeah, he needs to be focused on the Rockets, man.
Or anything else but just how
Twitter.
popular he is on Twitter. What a dumbass.
That's fucking hilarious.
But anyway, yeah. And Joe Rogan, like, I've just got a mixed opinion of, because he's said some things and done some things. He's just a very, he is also an enigma in the way that he does
I agree
things,
with
but
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But listen, this has been all that I was going to hope for. It was going to be in a lot more.
I'm glad.
I'll be honest. I had a lot of fun. What do you, if you've touched on it over the last 2.5 hours, but like what you've got going on? Like what are things people can look forward to? Because
Sad Peach World events.
This comes out this Friday.
Right.
So.
Sad Peach World events coming up this event season. Just look out for me doing my shit. I will say that the bands to look out for right now are Anima, Contact, Angelus. I also really like Thirst Trap. I don't think they get enough promo. But they're fucking sick also. But those three are really on the up and coming.
You can send them my way. I'll talk to them.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I otherwise just follow Sad Peach World. I do my best.
Well, you do a kick-ass job. I love
Thank
what
you.
you're doing. Seriously, I love what you're doing for the city. I love what you're doing.
Oh,
for the
and No
independent
Manners
artists,
is recording our album in March.
which I'm
We're
excited
gonna
for.
come up, we're gonna come out with 2 different sections of the album and then release it in order. So it'll be cool.
Sick. All right. Well, this has been a pleasure. I know you're a very busy person, so I appreciate the time.
Of course.
This has been a lot of fun. And thank you guys for listening and watching. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.